You think you can tell us what to wear? You think that you better get ready.
Oh, yeah, you better get ready. It's time for, it's time for the post. It is time for the post draft show. My name is Ralph Williams. We had some technical difficulties. That's why we didn't get on the air right away. But we're on the air now. And here we are. My guests are Joe Kuglis from the Draft Nation, Shane from the Stettmiller from the Steel City Dynasty podcast, also Bubba Brewer from the same, and oh wait, here we got Bubba on two shots here. Which one are you on, Bubba?
I have no idea.
We got you twice here. I wonder why. Oh, there you go. Now we got you once. All right, we're good now. There you go. All right. Okay, guys, and then by phone here we have Smoking Jim Frazier. Smoking Jim, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks, Ralph. And I just wanted to thank Joe Kuglis, too, for the invitation on Thursday. I had a great time, man.
I'm glad you were able to come, my friend, anytime.
And we had a great time there. It was a fun outing, Joe. I'm really happy that you had us there as well. All right, let's get started here with the NFL draft. The Steelers, they had their picks. They didn't have a pick in the 5th and the 7th rounds because they made some trades for the free agency period. And let's get started here. We'll start around the horn. Start with you, Smoking Jim Frazier. Troy Falamala, what's your thoughts on him?
He's a beast, man. One of the best. The question is he a tackle or is he a guard? In my draft report, I had him as a guard, the number 1 guard on my board. And I think that's the biggest thing the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to try to figure out. In my opinion, are they turning into the Detroit Lions when Matt Millen continued to draft wide receivers after wide receivers after wide receivers? Steelers keep drafting these left tackles, and Dan Moore keeps beating them out. and I don't think Dan Moore's losing any sleep on this one. So I think that the first-round pick is a great pick. I think he's a future offensive guard for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Joe Kuglis.
Well, I love the pick. I think this is a guy they expected to go in the top 10 and never expected he would be around at 20. I think they were focused in on either Amarius Mims of Georgia and or Graham Barton of Duke. But when Fautanu slipped, it was really, really hard to pass that up. And here's a guy that, as Smoking Jim put it, played 4 out of 5 positions on the offensive line in Washington and was able to, play right and left tackle, right and left guard. He's a little short for tackle in the league, but only by a hair. I mean, 6'4" is basically the minimum they're looking for, and the guy's 6'3 3/4. So I think he'll pass. Plus, he is violent at the point of attack. When Draft Nation was out at the NFL Combine and watched all of the offensive linemen, regardless of position, he was clearly the best mechanically. He was one of the strongest, if not the strongest. I think the strongest was Jackson Powers Johnson from Oregon at center. And Fautanu was there. The guy's a fast mover. He'll be able to pull. He'll be able to do whatever they need him to do. And I think the plan is this is Dan Moore's last year. He gave up 8 sacks last year. He'd have a very poor year. He was rated as one of the worst left tackles in the game. And I think that the idea here is to kick Broderick Jones over to replace him. Fautanu moves in and plays right tackle. Moore becomes a swing tackle for them in 2024. But as Smoking Jim put it, no one's been able to beat them out so far. I mean, they didn't move Broderick Jones over there last year, although they had a giant hole at the right side. I mean, Chukwuekorafor has been and was always overmatched. at that position, and they let him go in the offseason here and benched him for Jones halfway through. So, I think Fatanu fills that void. I think they do kick Jones over, and I think this is the final year for Dan Moore in some capacity, whether that's he steps back to be a reserve or he goes on and moves on. I think that's pretty much what they're looking to do here. Is they've had a porous offensive line for several years, and they're trying to fill those voids.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They have. I agree with you on that, Joe. The offensive line hasn't been good for a while. They were sort of mediocre, but they got through last year, which I was quite surprised they were able to get through towards the end of the season. But we need to have them play a whole season, not just the end of the season, as we saw this past year. Okay, Shane, your thoughts on the oh, sorry. Okay, go ahead, Shane.
Yeah, so, guys, I'm pretty excited. This is the first time in all goodness, as long as I can remember, that the Steelers are, man, they look like they could start camp in a couple weeks and play some ball. This is the first draft where I don't have any huge criticisms or disappointment. And they filled a lot of gaps that they needed to fill. But the thing of it is, these are players that can play immediately. A lot of these key players. Right. These aren't developmental. Hey, they might play in a year. That this is the difference between a 9-win season and a 12-win season with what they've done. So,
all right, Shane, or I'm sorry, Bubba.
Well, I'm so ecstatic because I'm looking for some offensive line upgrade. I have not been a Dan Moore supporter. I'm sorry, Smoking Jim. I know you like him. I think his best game was when the Monday night Ben's last game, and I've stated numerous times where he shut down Myles Garrett. But like Joe said last year, he was not that good. So now we got an upgrade, and I believe that Moore is probably going to start the season. Troy comes in, takes his job, and then Moore gets to be depth at second string. But I'm liking this draft. I mean, we've been on shows, me and Shane, all weekend long. I'm so excited. This Steeler draft, last year's and this year's, is just making a nucleus for us Steelers to get over the hump, hopefully, and get a playoff victory in January. I'm hoping.
Yeah, I want to thank you as well, Bubba and Joe, for being part of our show with myself and Smoking Jim last Tuesday, the 23rd. We had one awesome draft show that we put on. I think we put the best one on radio as far as I'm concerned, because no one had the guests I had on, including at the end of the show, towards the end, I had former Steeler Tim Worley. And I got to tell you, he really gave us some insight on some things and what he's doing these days in his life. And it was nice to hear from Tim Worley. All right, everybody. This segment was brought to you in part by the Sleep Pittsburgh. Call Sleep Pittsburgh today, 412-462-7858, 8th Avenue, Homestead, or check sleeppittsburgh.com. They have the best prices on affordable mattresses, day beds, futons, lift chairs. They have it all. Check it out today, sleeppittsburgh.com. Check out their inventory. Also, don't forget no credit check financing, 412-462-7858. Also, free delivery. That is Sleep Pittsburgh. For the best sleep tonight, we're in the Mata Heating and Air Conditioning Studios, 724-201-0500. Call Mata today for all your heating and air conditioning needs. Ask for Bill. Tell Bill Ralph Williams sent you. Mata Heating and Air Conditioning. All right, next, Zach Frazier, center, West Virginia. Start with you, Bubba.
Oh, I've been happy. So happy we got him. He is going to be the next center for, hopefully, as me and Shane talked, hopefully for the next decade. I'm ready to go get a number 54 jersey right now. I think we've had some off years with Mason Cole. I thought Mason was good that first year, and then he dropped off last year. And then when they cut him, I didn't want him to be brought back in. So I am so ecstatic with this pickup, guys. I can't rave about it enough. I know Shane has seen him play, being a West Virginia alumni, going down and seeing him. And actually, Shane could probably talk a little bit more about Zach Frazier on how smart he was. And he brought that to our Steeler Dynasty podcast the other day and all the podcasts we've been. But I'm ecstatic. I like him. I think he's going to start right off the block. And I hope he makes an impact to actually make us feared offensive line again.
All right, Shane from who covers West Virginia University. Shane.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. We had Mike Alsty on my show 2 weeks ago, and I'll tell you what, he gave some insight on Zach Frazier, and I knew I watched the Baylor game, okay, and I knew that he got a broken leg that last play, but I didn't have the football IQ to realize that they didn't have timeouts, because I did see him bear crawl with 3 appendages with one dragging behind off the field, and I wondered what the hell's going on. But he is an ultimate man's man. He's a tough guy. He can not only play football, but he could probably enter in the UFC and smack someone around. I love this guy. He's mature beyond his years. And if you don't go buy a 54 jersey, they're going to take your man card, Ralph.
Oh, there you go. All right, Joe Kuglis, Draft Nation. Go ahead, Joe. Can't hear you, Joe.
Sorry, gents. I was trying to mute the dogs in the background, so I apologize for that. I was just saying, I too like
the.
My right. Yeah, I really like the pick. Zach Frazier clearly was the number 2 center on the board for everybody. I'm not sure when all is said and done, he's not the number 1 center on the board. Obviously, he's got a great wrestling background, which is exactly what you want to see in a center. Football IQ, as Shane just mentioned, there is important for a center. Asking a center to come in and start right away is difficult if he's going to be the offensive line signal caller and have to call out the defenses and things like that. But I'm not afraid with this guy, and I don't mind him learning on the job. I think he's the kind of guy that, it's okay to do that with. And I think it was an immediate upgrade on Mason Cole. And there's a few things I would say about the guy. I mean, one, as Shane put it, I mean, he is absolutely tough as nails. Secondly, I've seen the guy wrestle. He was brutal. Right. And that's exactly what you want. If you've got Broderick Jones and his attitude that he brought last year, coupled with Troy Fatanu and him and Mason McCormick, guys, I scouted Mason McCormick. That guy's another one, another wrestler, another guy that just loves to be violent at the point of attack. When I heard Mike Tomlin in the press conference after the draft was still going on. And when they said, what do you expect from these draft picks? He said, we want to run people over. Right. And that's exactly what and so you could tell that, he and Arthur Smith and just sort of the change in that dynamic will be important. And, I'm hoping that Frazier can come in and play just as he did in West Virginia. I mean, the kid started as a freshman center at West Virginia. You know how hard that is to do.
He has a lot of work. He has a lot of what, I'll use the term from mediocre Mike, a body of work. He has a lot of body of work.
Can I talk on that real quick? I mean, you don't realize that he had 4 quarterbacks that he played with, and they were had different skill sets. He also only got 1 B, and he said, well, that was an engineering class. He's very humble. And why the Steelers went gaga over him is they asked him he's very matter of fact. When you hear his interview, he's like, well, I drove my truck up. I do woodworking. And he's married, so he's mature. He's a good kid. But listen to this. They asked him, how long would it take you to learn an NFL playbook? And they showed him a playbook. He said, 10 weeks or 10 days, maybe 2 weeks. And I believe him. He could learn a playbook and he could teach. You could have a veteran quarterback in there, and he would work well with him. You could have a rookie quarterback and it would work well with him. He is plug and play, and guys, good on the Steelers organization.
Steelers need plug and play. All right, Smoking Jim.
Well, I give this Pittsburgh Steelers credit. If I was advising them, I would have told them to hold off on the center in the first round. I believe that Howard's Jackson Johnson is not even going to play center in the NFL. I'm hearing rumors that they're moving him right to guard. He had a series of concussions. My top 2 centers was Frazier, namesake. I can buy a lot of jerseys now. And Cedric Van Fran from Georgia.
Yeah.
I just thought those guys was tremendous. I thought that they may even be there in the 3rd round. I commend the Steelers for not waiting. They went up. They got their guy in the 2nd round, but I think that when we look back on this next decade, we can figure out who's going to be the best center in the National Football League. Is it going to be Frazier or is it going to be Cedric Van Pran for the Buffalo Bills? I think these guys are going to make their mark in National Football League at center. The Steelers could have went either way and got a really good center.
Yeah, I like to pick myself, guys, but the thing I wanted Van Pran, like Smoking Jim said. He went in the late rounds to Buffalo. I was quite surprised how far he dropped, and I was very surprised about that. But I do like the pick. I like Zach Frazier, and we'll see what happens this year. Mike Tomlin came out last year and said we're going to run everybody over and ran nobody over. So I just want to let everyone know that as well. All right. All right. Our next segment is brought to you by the Original Hometown Pizza, 412-264-4444. Call the Original Hometown Pizza today. And let me say this. If you want to advertise the Original Hometown Pizza, inform me last Tuesday when I picked up my pizza, because they provide a pizza for Smoke and Jim and I at the studio, and and our producer Ryan Karazunas. What I wanted to say was they told me their business is up sky high because of my advertising. So if anyone has a business that wants to advertise and get affordable rates, call me immediately, 412-545-4317. There is a classic example that my broadcasting works in the advertising from my RW Media Productions, just to let everyone know. All right, next, Roman Wilson, wide receiver, Michigan. The GM of Beaver County Raiders, a happy camper. He went to Michigan. He likes everybody with anything with Michigan. Roman Wilson, we'll start with you, Smoking Jim.
I tell you what, it was a great pick. Pittsburgh Steelers needed an elite rookie to come in here with a good attitude, a good work ethic that would learn the route trees and be open and really want to be coached and coached hard, unlike George Pickens. So I think that he's going to be a great compliment on that other side to George. This is a guy, I tell you, Ralph, can do it all. He's a fly guy. He's super fast, very productive. And if you check out his numbers in this past year, he was one of the elites. He could have been a first-round pick. So where they got him was a great value pick. So I love it.
You're watching a special post-game show. We're going over the Steelers draft. My guests are Joe Kuglis, Shane Stetmeyer, Bubba Brewer, and Smoke and Jim Frazier by phone. It's great for you to be here tonight. We have some people here, but anybody wants to put anything in the comment section, what's your thoughts about the draft? And Tuesday on Beaver County Radio, Sports Corner Radio Show, we have pretty much an open show. I have one guest coming on for 15 minutes, and that's Ray Fittipaldo from the Post-Gazette's going to come on and join us and tell us what's up with the Steelers moving forward. And then Ryan, Smoke, and Jim and I are going to dissect this Steeler draft, dissect the first round. If we have time tonight, we'll dissect the first round. I know everybody kind of has some schedules tonight, so we might just go over the Steeler draft or undrafted free agents that they signed, Pitt players, Penn State players, West Virginia players. Shane can give us an update on that as to who all went in the draft or as an undrafted free agent. I want to let everyone know Keaton Slovis, the former Pitt quarterback, the fastest quarterback at the Combine, from what I understand. He went to the Indy Colts as an undrafted free agent. So Keaton Slovis has moved on as far as that goes, and he did not get drafted. Okay, Joe Kuglis, Roman Wilson, I'm sorry.
Well, I too am a Michigan guy, and so I do like Roman Wilson. I went to graduate school there, so
Okay.
I think I'll say go blue first of all, but also, to be more serious about it, Roman Wilson's exactly as Jim Frazier described him. He's fast. He will remind people of the twitchiness that we lost when we lost Antonio Brown.
Right.
He has great long speed. I think he was a 4.38, 4.39 guy at the Combine. So he's a sub-4 guy. He's short, right? So which is going to really put him in a situation where he's going to primarily play the slot. They may find a role for him, especially in his rookie season on special teams with the new kick return rules and such. If you really take a look at what he's got, the guy's got sticky hands. He's a good route runner. And Jim was right. I mean, he would have gone higher in the draft if it were not for Harbaugh's run first offense. They didn't throw a lot there. And so you didn't have 17 touchdowns like Brian Thomas had in LSU, or you didn't have, the spread offense that you had for Malik Neighbors, or Roma Dunze in Washington, or even Marvin Harrison Jr. in Ohio State. You had a pro style offense, and Roma did a really good job of staying within the game, doing exactly what he wanted, but he dropped one pass total this entire season, and he looked like the real deal. They put him against Quinion Mitchell as one versus one, A versus A, at the Senior Bowl, and it was a battle, and he still won. And so I think the Steelers, I hate to say it was a steal because I think everybody recognizes that Roman Wilson is going to be a good player, but ultimately, in the third round to get him, I can't think of a better word than steal.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, go ahead, Bubba. You're up.
Well, I'm going to go piggyback right off of Joe because I don't think Harbaugh would actually give the Steelers anything. So, to his credit, maybe not throwing the ball to him too much in Michigan actually helped the Steelers out picking him up. So, I'll commend Harbaugh on that because if he wouldn't have, we probably wouldn't have got him at the third round pick. And when you said he dropped one pass, I know Dante dropped a pass every other quarter last year. So I don't want to get off on the tangent on Johnson, but I wasn't really happy with Johnson the last couple of years when he was with the Steeler. Hopefully his mindset coming into being Pittsburgh since he's been drafted now could make some kind of headway and get some yardage, him on the other side of Pickens. But I think the Steelers might still maybe get a known receiver just to help out. I don't know. I think the receiving core is probably the weakest that has ever been just based on who they have. But I'm glad they got him. Yeah. Well, some people say that about me, Ralph. But I mean, I'm happy that we got him. He had 12 touchdowns last year. He played all 15 games. So his durability is something that the Steelers do need. So I'm happy. I'm not a Michigan game guy, but I'm happy that we drafted him.
Well, they took $7 million and had Alex Highsmith restructure his contract. They got $7 million freed up. So I'm wondering what they're going to do with that. That should be something we'll see of a surprise pulled off here by Omar Khan. Shane, you're up. Roman Wilson.
Okay, I like the pick. Okay, but I watched video today on him, and I'm afraid. This is my fear. I like the pick. Don't get me wrong, but the glass is half empty, and the reason being is at Michigan, he relied on athleticism and just those sticky fingers. Okay, just made fantastic catches, and that's great. We want that, but he really needs to show what he can do against really super physical NFL, defenses.
NFL safeties or cornerbacks. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. He doesn't.
Yeah.
He's not. He relies on his athleticism. So usually if you have like a kid who's not as fast, they run crisper routes. So I think if he works on his routes and works on maybe that second gear, I think the fact that his hands are so good and he has a high motor, I think he has all the intangibles to be like a fantastic pick for the Steelers, but we'll see.
All right, I have a draft publication here, and I'm trying to locate the one that I have here. And I pointed it out the other night at the draft to a couple people that there was a guy in here. He's a wide receiver, and I can't remember where I thought I highlighted it, but I didn't. That he resembles Ladarius Green, because at the bottom it says for every receiver who they resemble.
Yeah.
And we all know what Ladarius Green was all about, injury prone, and whatnot. So I wasn't about to pick him, but I like to pick myself. And like you said, Shane, the glass is half full. Let's see what he does, and we'll go from there. All right, next. This is Smoking Jim said this guy was great. I agree with him because I'm an NC State fan. I never went to NC State. I like them because they're in Raleigh, and I like Raleigh. So I like NC State. I'm glad that we got Peyton Wilson, linebacker from, NC State. And this next segment is brought to you in part by Fulton Travel Mobility, 1-877-GOT-FOLD, 1-877-GOT-FOLD. That's Fulton Travel Mobility. I'm in a wheelchair. I called Fulton Travel Mobility. I got a folding power wheelchair to put in my vehicle in case I got to go to places like the amphitheater where we have our shows that takes about 5 years to get in and out of. and or if I'm going to some event at Acrisure Stadium or something and don't feel like, hustling around. So, or if I have to park my car somewhere and go to a fair, I have a folding power wheelchair. And if I'm going to our so-called amusement park as well, I have that. Call 1-877-GOTFOLD. Also, foldandtravelmobility.com. Don't go without Fold and Travel Mobility. Call. They have some great specials. They'll set you up with a nice folding wheel power chair to put in your car or in your vehicle. Don't be inconvenienced any longer. Call them today. All right. Let's start with you, Shane. Peyton Wilson.
I haven't really seen a lot of tape on him, but he seems to be very physical. He was a fan favorite at NC State. He's from what I've read, he's long, he's athletic, he's the 4.43. Hey, that's fantastic for that position. No question he has football IQ, but I don't know how strong he is, and can he? I don't know. We'll see. Just like the previous
Right.
guy, let the glass half full. It's a good pick, but I'm very pessimistic if a guy isn't just an all-out star. The first round are the ones that 90% of the time
Yes.
these guys are going to work.
Right.
This guy, I think he has the talent. I think he has the athleticism. I'm not as familiar with the ACC as I am with the Big 12, but I did watch 2 games with him in there, and he doesn't really jump off the page, but man, he's a solid performer, and I think he has that lateral agility to kind of make up for anything that he might misread. So, guys, I think it's a good pick.
All right. Let's go to Joe Kuglis.
Well, I would say a few things. I mean, you're right on the speed side. Absolutely, he was the fastest linebacker at the combine, and he plays like it. He plays reckless. He's the fastest linebacker the Steelers will have had since Ryan Shazier. He plays sideline to sideline. He tackles everything when they get within range. But let's be honest. I mean, the guy was picked at the end of the 3rd round for a reason. He's got an injury history. Shoulders, he's got a knee problem, and like the Steelers, Greg Lloyd, like the Steelers, Hines Ward, only was born without an ACL. So, the guy has some those things didn't hold him back. He's done well where he's played. He's an older player. He'll likely be a 1 contract player, and I think in the beginning he'll be a depth piece. I don't see him starting, especially with Holcomb and Elandon Roberts in front of him and all the money they dropped on Patrick Queen. But if he's there just to add depth, if he's there to play on special teams, having that kind of tackler with that kind of speed on special teams will be critical. And I think that's what Steeler fans can expect from him in year 1. But he could jump off the page and do something that we saw Herbig do last year coming into the 4th round and be a real contributor. But, the jury's still out. And let's see if he can survive the rigors of the NFL from a injury perspective. And but end of the 3rd round, it's hard to argue this pick. I mean, he was the best available athlete on the board, and fills a position of need for them.
Well, I think I said on Ralph's radio show last Tuesday that I would be Mike Ditka. I would give up my entire draft for Peyton Wilson, and we ended up getting him in the 3rd round. This guy's a freak of nature, man. Hey, listen, the only negative, the only drawback for him is he'll stay humble because he'll never make the money that his older brother's making as a major league starting pitcher. So he'll stay humble at family reunion time. Hey, listen, this is another wrestler. He was the state of North Carolina wrestling heavyweight champion as a junior. Only reason he didn't win in his senior year is, like you guys said, he tore his ACL. He went to NC State. He's the fastest inside linebacker at the combine since Ryan Shazier. This is a guy that won the Chuck McNair Award. He won the Dick Butkus Award. He's first-team All-American. He was ACC Defensive Player of the Year. This guy is a day one. Now, Coach Tomlin may not start him the first game, but in that first 4 games, he'll be in there starting. He's already as old as Patrick Queen. He's
Right.
So both of them's 24 years old. But this is a sideline tackling machine. He can intercept passes. He could be very well be the best middle linebacker the Steelers had since Jack Lambert.
Yeah. Also, I want to add to this a little bit, Smoking Jim, as you mentioned,
Wow.
about his speed and everything, and then others have added about his injury case. I want to add just real quick here. Yeah, he'll be good on special teams for a little while, but you know what? We've got a history of injury-prone people here on this inside linebacking crew, and I hope he stays healthy enough to play a little bit. Baba, you're up.
Wow, I don't know if I can comment after what Smoking Jim said about him being just ranks up there. What, Jack Lambert? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Smoking Jim?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know because Joe and Smoking Jim know a lot about the college in and outs because they scout a lot of guys. I am not known for that. So I just the intangibles of him being fast. I didn't think they were going to draft a linebacker until later on. I thought they might have got a corner.
Yeah.
But hey, to each his own. If he can add depth to the position, I don't know how recovered Holcomb is.
Right.
Yeah. So he might get a
We
little
don't
bit
know
more
about
playing time.
Kewan Alexander either. We don't know
Well,
about him.
They didn't sign him yet, so I just don't know if I'm going to give him. And I'm a big Lambert fan. I don't think I'm going to put the moniker of Jack Lambert on him right now, Smoking Jim. But I'll wait and see. And like Joe said, probably good in special teams and maybe in depth right now. But I don't see him as a starter because he was injury prone, and I don't wish any injuries on anybody. But we'll just have to wait and see come mini camp and preseason and start of the season. So. I mean, he's fast, and what we need is fast inside linebackers.
All right, breaking news here, guys. We might as well stop the show right now. They have just traded their whole draft, the Steelers, for that wide receiver from the 49ers. What's the Brandon Adaku? Yeah, they just traded the whole draft for him. So, all right, the show's over. So, oh man, I'm the guy with the ridiculous rumors.
You had me.
Yeah, but anyway, all right. Next, we're going to talk about Mason McCormick, who Joe spoke about earlier. I said to Smoking Jim that I thought this guy should be drafted for the Steelers. I like those kind of guys that come out of South Dakota State and all that stuff. And so there's a few guys that have come out. One's down in Tampa. He has no teeth. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I wanted him last year, but we didn't get him. So, but Tampa got him instead. And so, we'll see where he goes here. But I was surprised he was picked this soon. But I'm glad that we did pick him because he is a mean and nasty type of guy. And he played at South Dakota State. All right, let's start with you, Smoking Jim. Are you there, Smoking Jim?
I tell you what, Ralph. This is a guy everybody seems to like, especially when we got him. But I'm shocked. The Steelers must really love this guy. 3 rookies on the offensive line in one draft.
Yeah.
That got to be a modern day record. I just don't know how fast can you play 2 rookies in your start lineup. You guys all play football.
Right.
The line call for the National Football League is incredible. I'm not sure if a left tackle his college career can flip over to the right side. A lot of guys can't flip over to the right side. We'll find out in minicamp. Troy's idol is Troy Polamalu, maybe the best strong safety in NFL history. His first year, he was lost. He looked like he never played football a day in his life. He couldn't get on the field. So now you got 3 rookies. You got this kid that's tough. But how soon will he be out there? I don't think you'll see him at all this year. Maybe with the new kickoff rules where you're 5 yards apart, he can maul somebody on the kickoff team. But other than that, I don't think you'll see him until 2025.
Well, yeah, I agree with you, Smoking Jim. I didn't expect this pick this fast. I thought they could take him maybe as an undrafted rookie, or perhaps he wasn't even in any draft publications. So, but when I saw him, I saw a few tidbits of him, and I liked them, and I said, look, Steelers should get him, and they did. All right, Bubba, your turn. Mason McCormick.
Big guy. South Dakota State, they always beat up on
they
always beat up on IUP. Every time they used to play him. I figured he's probably going to be depth, and also too, they're going to have to sign probably Daniels and those guys next year. Their contracts might be up if I'm not mistaken. So maybe he gets, and also too, barring injury, he might get to be playing this year. Hopefully nobody goes out with injuries for long periods of time, but that's the ways of the NFL. You just never know. Somebody gets a starting role based on injury, and they got to, when their number is called, they have to come in. So I like his tenacity, and these 3 lineman picks that we picked, like Smoking Jim said, is great. I just think we're going to be road graders. I think we're going to run the ball over everybody. I've been saying it all weekend long, and I'm going to keep saying it all year long. I think we get back to the Steeler way of running the football and having people fear us and having people be intimidated when they have to play the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh, or when the Pittsburgh Steelers go out to other teams and that team is feared because the Steelers are coming in town. So I'm okay with big guys that like to bulldoze people over. So we'll see how he plays in training camp, but I can't complain about any of these picks.
Yeah, we need to get that back, Bubba. I agree with you on that as well. Shane, you're up. You're next.
You know what? I like him. He's like an old square body truck. Like the guys. I think he started 57 games in college. I mean, he's durable. I mean, he is stout. Now, there are some questions in his scouting report about athleticism and the shortcomings he has there. He makes up for a motor. He is a sweaty football nerd. He has high football IQ, and I think that'll translate. Like Troy Polamalu would study film. You mentioned Troy had a rough year, but he studied, all the greats and kind of like rolled his sleeves up, and he'll tell you that. I think this is one of those type of guys that is going to work hard, and he is going to be one of those utilitarian guys. I do see him on special teams now that the kickoff has changed. When he does get his hands on a blocker, he has like super grip. So guys, good pick. I like him. I just like the attitude. It's not even the guys. It's the type of guys the Steelers are drafting. It's like, all these guys are going to be hanging out in the same freaking bar in the South Side. You know what I mean?
And they like the Steelers too. Remember, they all said they like the Steelers.
Yep.
So there you go. All right, Joe, you're next. Joe Kuglis.
Yeah, there's nothing about the guy I don't like. He's not going to be expected to start this year. They have their 2 starting guards in Simoyalu and Daniels. Daniels is a free agent at the end of this year, and this is obviously a play for depth this year to be a swing guard, coupled with growth into a starting position in a year. He's an older player. He's played 6 years in college. As Shane mentioned, he played 57 games all in a row without injury. He used the term, I think Shane said durability or whatever he used. That's 100% true. The guy's more athletic than he looks. I mean, he had an RAS score of 93, which is relative athletic score. He came in second over all the other guards at the combine. He put on a show out there. And he's got 10-inch hands, man. The guy, when he gets you, you're done. He is a bear, right? And so, even though he might not be ready this year, sure, there was undoubtedly, when I mentioned earlier at the top of the show how Fatano just blew everybody away with his mechanics, McCormick needs to work on his footwork. I mean, that's just without a doubt. His footwork is a situation. But getting him into a pro system, I don't know what kind of, offensive line coaches they had at South Dakota, but
Pat Meyer will take care of them real good here in Pittsburgh, Joe. You know that.
Well, that's the play. I mean, give him a year to percolate, simmer, and learn the system. Play him, if there's someone that goes down. But that's exactly what they were looking for here. This is a play for depth this year that grows into a starter next year, and I think the guy's got. When I saw some of the other grades that I think we had him in the 4th round. I think other magazines had him in the 4th or 5th round. This was probably right on par, maybe a round early for the guy. But, the Steelers, that's what they were hunting, and they got it. So, hey, more power to them. And, I'm looking forward to seeing the guy in black and gold.
Yeah, it's Cody Mox, the kid's name. He's down in Tampa. That's the one I had last year. It had no teeth practically. He looked like Jack Lambert as an offensive lineman. So, I mean, But anyway. All right, guys, let's move on here. This next segment's brought to you by P6 Auto Detailing, 412-965-6578. Call P6 Auto Detailing today. You drive a dirty car. Why? Why do you drive a dirty car? Well, you need to get it detailed in New Kensington. Call the P6 Auto Detailing, 412-965-6578. P6 Auto Detailing. All right. Logan Lee, 6A pick. Logan Lee, defensive tackle, Iowa. Start with you, Joe.
This is a good depth piece. The Steelers need depth and on the defensive line. This is a guy, again, just like Zach Frazier, is a mauler as a wrestler. Played really well, was second team all Big Ten for a number of years. Was part of that vaunted Iowa defense.
Right.
And I think he's got what you're looking for. Is he as sexy of a pick as maybe they could if they were really targeting a defensive lineman in that second or third round range? Probably not, but this guy could come in and will likely be able to contribute, in a second or third team capacity. I think he does make the team. I don't think this was a waste of a 6th round pick. How many times have we seen the Steelers drafting a punter in the 6th round or a long snapper in the 6th round?
They drafted that time, Joe, that one draft.
Yeah, this is a guy where Colin was like, no, we're going to get a real true depth piece here. He went out and got one. I think he makes the team, but to expect anything more than just rotational duty, that's probably where he's going to be for now. But look, Aaron Smith was a late round guy, turned out to be one of the best 3-4 defensive ends that of the 90s and early 2000s. So you don't know, but this is a coin flip with a guy that's got a resume for it.
All right, Joe, smoking Jim Frazier.
Well, we got Logan Light the Butt Lee. Listen, if this guy gets in any game in Heinz Field, they'll drive him out of the stadium all the way down the stage A&E and plant him in the same seats that Joe Kuglis and them were sitting in. You talk about Cody Mox had no teeth. They'll knock his teeth out. How in the world does Carl Dunbar still have a job as a defensive line coach? He goes to everybody's pro day. He goes to everybody's school. He must be eating and drinking for free because he keeps bringing in Logan Lees after Logan Lees after Logan Lees.
I wanted Gabe Hall from Baylor. That's who I wanted.
Line. We need to fire that defensive line coach and get somebody in here that can evaluate talent. This is the biggest reach the Steelers had since 1938 when they drafted William Shakespeare in the first round.
No, it was, I don't know. We'll talk about the reach later and the bust later. But anyway, my thoughts on Logan Lee, I would have rather him take Gabe Hall from Baylor. And the guy I wanted from Texas was gone too, that Sweet. He was gone in the 3rd round. He was supposed to go in late rounds. I was expecting the Steelers to look at him. But instead, I guess they got what they needed. Logan Lee has to put some weight on. He's only 287. So they said if he gains another 30 pounds, he'll be okay. We will see. Bubba Brewer.
Well, like you just said, he's got to gain a little bit of weight. They'll probably give him like 6,000 calories and have him pump an iron in a gym and get to at least get to 300. I don't know much about him. I mean, because Smoking Jim and Joe, they, like I said, they do the college stuff. We do need depth. Loudermilk has not been a great product in the Steelers system. Maybe he can beat out both of them. Maybe Llewell can have a better season this year. So it's going to be a lot of competition in this defensive line, because right now the offensive line could be, and as is the strength of the Steelers, the defensive line needs to get to where they used to be and where we think they should be, and they're not. So hopefully they can actually, get to where they got to be, stop the run, and the guys that aren't producing, get rid of them and let these other guys come in, and maybe Lee can actually be some kind of something, maybe in the 2nd and 3rd tier as a defensive lineman. I mean, he's got to gain some weight, like Smoking Jim said, and hopefully he does. He's too light.
Yeah, he is light. And one other thing I wanted to mention was DeMarvin Llewell had a whole bunch of injury cases, and I told everybody that, but he was still rated number 1 defensive tackle in the draft by a couple publications, and I couldn't figure that one out for the life of me. And I told everybody he's an injury case, and no one seemed to pay attention to that. But he's still on the team. Your buddy Martavius Adams just signed for another 1-year deal.
I know.
So,
but
depth, I don't
we
know
need
what
depth.
else I can say.
I don't know either.
Yeah. He was a depth pick, is what he was. So, And we got that other guy, that Dean Mallory, I think his name is, or something. We got that guy. So I mean, so we'll see what goes on from there.
Hopefully, Ralph, they actually put in that Brendan Fiocco and they actually play him
they
instead of have him sitting down at the new bar there, the old Bettis bar, and actually having sarsaparillas. He needs to be in there getting some playing time.
Man, I know he's a good player. I don't know what happened to him. All right, Shane.
I don't know what to say about this guy. I know from the stats he had 55 tackles and 3 sacks last year on a super Iowa defense. However, when I look at this guy, when I'm watching combine film, he looks like a tight end that they didn't know what to do with in college. Like maybe ate a few more, too many cheeseburgers in the dining facility, came in a little heavy. Let's stick him to D tackle. But I'm afraid he's going to get hung up on blocks because he doesn't have he's still like maybe six Happy Meals away from being 300 pounds. So guys, you've said it, I've hit this one out of the park. I don't know. He would be one of the lower grades considering all the other guys that we've got in the draft have been A. This guy would be a C.
All right. Ryan, or I'm sorry, Joe. Joe, yeah, I did get to you, didn't I? Yeah. Okay, good. All right. Next, we have our 6B pick, and our 6B pick is brought to you by DJ Fun. DJ Fun, call today, 412-990-8448. Call today if you need a DJ for a party or special event. 15 years of experience. Call DJ Fun today. That number is 412-990-8448. Affordable pricing, DJ Fun. All right. 6B pick, Ryan Watts, cornerback, Texas. We'll start with you, Smoking Jim.
Well, I tell you what, man, freaky size, man. I can see why the Pittsburgh Steelers fell in love with this guy, and they probably would have tried to get him in the 7th round, but they didn't have a 7th round pick. I mean, 6'3", almost 6'4", 210 pounds. He got an NBA type vertical jump, man, over 40 inches on his vertical jump, man. That's NBA player. Don't know, and I don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers know if he can play corner in the National Football League. If not, you move him to safety or something like that. He'll get an opportunity to play corner. I don't know when 4.55 or 4.52 is slow anymore. The taller you are, it's almost like bench pressing. The taller you are, the longer your arms are, the harder it is to get as many reps. And when you're tall and long like that, your 40 time ain't going to be 4.3, 4.4. So this guy can run. He played at 2 big time schools, Ohio State and Texas. So he's going to get his opportunity in training camp to go against, George Pickens and get embarrassed like Joey Porter did last year.
All right. Bubba.
Well, I know we were doing a show yesterday and not too many people were liking this pick. They were ready to get the pitchforks and get him out of Pittsburgh already. I just want to.
Seriously, yeah.
Yeah.
In Indiana there, huh?
Well, it was the guys in Australia didn't like him.
Wow.
On their podcast. But I mean, I want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Like Smoking Jim said, 6'3". You got to like that size. You don't know where Corey Trice Jr. is going to come back at. You don't know if he's going to be healthy. So he's going to be some depth. I mean, if they didn't get the Troy in the 1st round and they would have got a cornerback, a shutdown corner, we'd be talking about totally something different. So right now we don't have that other guy on the opposite side of, JP Day Jr., but they'll find him, hopefully. But yeah, he's probably going to be depth, and we shall see. Maybe they move him to, out of position and go, safety or free safety or something like that because he is 6'3". So we shall see. But we didn't have that 7th round pick, and he probably would have been a 7th and a 6th. So we just have to wait and see until training camp in Latrobe.
All right, Shane.
Yeah, he was a Ohio State guy that moved to Texas, and I agree with Bubba. I think he's now with that vertical jump. He'll and the fact that he's so lanky and he's still fast enough to cover, but he really didn't jump off the screen when I watched video of him at Texas, and I've watched him play. I would see him better suited in the NFL at a safety position. So I'd have to agree with that. But he's one of those, C plus. I'd give him a C plus for this. I think there were cornerbacks that were better suited that should have been picked ahead of him. I'll scratch my head on this one. So I'll defer to the draft specialist above me.
There you go, Joe.
Well, there's not much more that can say that hasn't already been said. I mean, because of his size and his 40 time, he'll likely be relegated to a safety position. But because of his size, it's not bad to be an in-the-box safety like that. And he's a good tackler. I think they'll also be used on special teams a ton. This is the kind of guy that you want rushing from the side to block a field goal. This is the kind of guy that you want going down the field as a gunner. He's going to make a tackle, and but again, when you get past the 4th round, a lot of these guys they're all the same, right? And this year, with a top-heavy draft the way it was, there's not a lot of, an undrafted free agent, might be just as good as this guy at the end of the 6th round. I mean, we'll see. Don't want to write him off, but. Ultimately last year the Steelers drafted Corey Trice in the 7th round, and he was the talk of camp. So maybe Ryan Watts comes in here and does the same thing. But making the switch from corner to safety, which he will absolutely do, that might take a year. And if it takes a year to get there, you'll likely see him on some sort of a taxi squad kind of situation where the guy's just he's on reserve. And if he's in the game, they've got more trouble than that. So, we'll see what happens. He's got a way to come, but that's what you expect. He's a developmental piece.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If he was any better, he would have been drafted earlier. But I agree with you, Joe, and everyone else. We're gonna wait and see on him. All right, guys. I know most of you don't care about this, but sometimes I do because we found some diamonds in the rough with this. So far, the Steelers have 6 undrafted free agents that they brought in, rookies. They got another center, Trey Brown, from Jacksonville State. And those of you who don't know, and of course Shane might know this, Richie Rodriguez is their coach down there.
Yeah.
So, so from Jackson State, running back Dejon Edwards, Georgia. Now listen to this. They are saying out here that, and I don't know, the other pundits are saying that this guy should have been drafted, and why he wasn't, nobody knows. There wasn't really a big thing for running backs this year in the draft. A lot of them got picked up in late rounds.
Maybe Joe knows why.
Yeah, there you go. But we'll start off with him. Joe,
I do. He's exactly what he is. He's an undrafted free agent for a reason. Nothing against the guy, but the Steelers don't need running backs. I mean, they've got Najee Harris, they've got Jalen Edwards, they signed Cordarrelle Patterson in the offseason. He's a 4th hand that will struggle to make the team. He'll likely just be a camp player.
He'll be in the UFL.
Yeah, something like that. Like he may move his way over. He's got a little. I mean, look. I mean, nothing. I'm not trying to denigrate the guy or anything like that. But there were plenty of other running backs that got taken ahead of him for a reason, right? And this year was not a good crop of running backs. Jonathan Brooks, kind of let off the charge, and he had an ACL injury at the end of last year. That doesn't spell well, and because the NFL is so devalued the running back position that the first one goes off in round 2, and the rest come off 3 through whatever. And it's not a good crop, and he didn't get drafted in a very poor crop, so that should tell you where he is. So he'll be a camp body with a long shot to make the team.
All right, next, here's a familiar university where Alex Highsmith went, Charlotte. And guess what? This guy plays edge rusher too, Julius Welchok. All right, she plays for Charlotte. Cornerback, here we go, Shane. Beanie Bishop from West Virginia, another West Virginia guy will be on the team. Tell us a little bit about Beanie Bishop.
I'll tell you a lot about Beanie Bishop, guys. So Beanie Bishop is when he came to West Virginia, I was like, why the hell are we getting this guy? He was one of those 50-year senior transfers from Minnesota. Didn't play a lot at Minnesota. Really didn't have much as far as highlight film from when he played for the Golden Gophers. But last year, he played the season like his ass was on fire. I mean, physical. for his size. There would be catches that 9 out of 10 defensive backs, the ball would have been caught, but he was so physical, he forced these guys to not have receptions. Every other game he'd have a interception. In the bowl game, he had an interception and a pick six. He's physical. He could play punt. He could play punt returner. He's since they've changed the special teams, I don't think he's going to be as pivotal there unless he's returning kicks. But we already have a kick returner. But he closes. I mean, he closes quickly on the line of scrimmage. He's a great tackler. He can run down opponents. His size, okay, he's 5'11", but he's a strong 5'11", and he has a long wingspan. The stats are there. 4.3 speed. I mean, I'm surprised he was undrafted, but because he only had 1 year of tape, I get it. But guys, fantastic. If he makes the team, I actually might get this jersey. And like I say on every show, the last jersey I bought that it was a Steelers jersey was Cordell Stewart.
All right, guys. John Reyes Plumlee, quarterback from Central Florida. So, that's just going to be a preseason game kind of thing. Next, Jacoby Winmon, linebacker, Michigan State. So those are our.
But Ralph.
Go ahead, Bubba.
Ralph, some of the quarterbacks that we did have didn't even get a chance to play any preseason.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Plumlee's a good quarterback. Other than, Bishop had a nice interception off of him, but Plumlee is a decent quarterback. So,
he's Central Florida. I mean, they always run a high-powered offense down there. They're always scoring points. Joe, what's your thoughts on this Plumlee guy? You would know a little bit about him.
Well, he was originally at Mississippi. He played at Ole Miss for a number of years, lost his job to Matt Corral, or I shouldn't say lost his job. It was a battle that he lost to Matt Corral when Corral was there and was in the running for the Heisman, so you can't hold that against the guy. He's short. He's not going to be an NFL quarterback.
Oh, okay. He's another Doug Flutie, more or less.
He's not that short, but he's bright. He's Bryce Young short.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Bryce Young short. Okay. That's Smoking Jim's favorite quarterback, Bryce
6
Young.
6 foot, right?
Yeah. He's like 5'11" and 6 foot with sneakers and insoles.
Oh, there you go. All right. Okay, guys, we're going to go around the horn. Smoking Jim, we'll start with you. Which team other than the Steelers do you think had the best draft?
Well, I'll tell you what, man. Bubba may not be happy with this, being that he's the closest to Philadelphia.
Oh, you got me too. I wanted Philly. You took it out of my sales, man. There you go.
Man, look here. They got the best 2 cornerbacks in the draft. They got maybe the best player in the whole draft, and Cooper DeJean. Why the Steelers or anybody would pass up a guy that's the ultimate chess piece. This guy's just going to make play after play after play for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they get maybe 2 more Super Bowls because of this draft class that they got this past year. And I don't know, it always seems like, Joe Kuglis, it always seems like there's a certain team out there that don't have a salary cap. How they sign their quarterback and both of their wide receivers to, landslide contracts and still have room under the salary cap tells me that the Philadelphia Eagles don't have a salary ceiling like every other team in the National Football League, and it's set up for Philadelphia to win the Super Bowl here in the next 2 years.
All right, guys. Let's go with Joe.
I think if we're not choosing the Steelers and the Eagles are off the board, I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals. And I say that because, I think that Arizona did a lot of good things. Here, just first of all, what helps, it helps a lot to have 2 first-round draft picks. And I think they did the right thing by not trading out of 4 and taking Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr., as I'm sure Ralph and Smoking Jim, you heard me say on the stage on Thursday, I think he's the best prospect and wide receiver to come out since Larry Fitzgerald. And he reminds me a lot of what AJ Green was like. And I think that that's a home run, and it's a receiver that they haven't had in Arizona since Larry Fitzgerald retired, and they'll finally get a receiver for Kyler Murray out there. But later in the draft, and it's almost unsung, they got one of the best edge rushers in the draft in Darius Robinson from Missouri. I mean, this is a guy who benefited from that COVID year that we talked about a little earlier, and threw himself into the first round conversation because of that speed coming off the back end. No, he's 285. He's not a small guy, and depending on what the Cardinals want to do with him, if they want to put on a little bit more weight, he could be a guy that plays with two hands in the ground too, and instead of just that wide 9 position as an edge rusher. But then, later on in the draft, they went on and they got Max Melton, who was one of my favorite players. This guy's super athletic. No one talks about him because he played for Rutgers, but
I thought the Steelers were going to take him to Joe because he was sitting there, and I looked at him and I said, Max Melton would not be a bad guy for us, and then all of a sudden he went bye-byes. So
and then they had 3 third-round draft picks, right? So they drafted a guard, which is fine, Isaiah Adams, and who knows where that goes. Tip Ryman was one of the fun at the combine. He was fun. This dude as a blocking tight end from Illinois. Oh my God. Cause this guy would I would love for him to it's going to be fun to watch him blow people up at the line of scrimmage. And then he went out and got Elijah Jones from Boston College, the corner out there. I just think they did a lot of really good things. And the steal of the draft for me was Dadrion Taylor Demerson from Texas Tech. They got him at safety in round 4. He should have been a round 2 guy. I'm surprised he slid as far as he did. I just really, really liked what the Cardinals did.
All right, Shane.
I was going to say the Bears, but that's too obvious. The Chargers. Okay, I'm not a huge Jim Harbaugh fan, but he knocked it out of the park. You got Joe Alt from Notre Dame. I think they got a wide receiver, McConkey. Was he from Georgia?
Yep.
Of course, he had to get that Colson from Michigan. Jim Harbaugh knows that cat. So they did great. And then what's really kind of neat, the Chargers got Jerry Rice's kid in the 7th round. So, and he probably will play because I don't think they have a lot of depth. But guys, overall, a lot of teams did better than they did poorly. I think overall it was such a deep draft class. It's kind of hard to mess. It's like messing up a wet dream. You know what I mean? It's like every guy was fantastic. You can't go wrong with the first 3 rounds. Everybody was so good. So,
all right, Bubba.
I'm going to go off because everybody picked everything differently, and everybody picked a good team that they had in the draft pick. But I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts due to the fact that I was looking. They had 9 draft picks. So they got some depth, and they probably got some starters in there. And my buddy, Chad Henry, he does some scouting for him. He got his job. He probably got paid 10 spades this year. Looking at some people. They got the Pitt tackle. They got
I was
Pitt
surprised
tackle in the 3rd round.
Yes,
and then they got the 2nd round pick out of Texas, the Mitchell receiver. I mean, they have great receivers. They got the defensive end Latu from USLA, and then they got another receiver, and then they got linebackers and cornerbacks. So they got 9 picks. So any team that gets 9 picks in the draft, I'm going to say I don't know what they got to get all those picks, but that's a lot of pieces on the chessboard to play. So besides the Steelers, I'm going to go with the Colts.
Yeah, I thought the Colts had a pretty decent draft there. I was surprised Matt Concavs went in the 3rd round. He was predicted to go late, and the Steelers were looking at him for a late round pick. So I was surprised that he went that fast. Okay, guys. I think I got everybody on this one.
Hey, Ralph, can I say one thing?
Go ahead, sure.
A lot of you guys may not know they had a pro day for the Big 12, and Plumlee ran a 4.540.
Wow!
And he appears to be a super athlete. And there's some scouts out there in the National Football League. If he don't make the Steelers, they think he could be the next. Tyson. Who's the kid for New Orleans?
Tyson Hill.
Tyson Hill. So,
yeah.
Look for him to be a really good athlete,
Tyreek Hill.
fun guy to
Tyreek
watch in
Hill.
training camp.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill.
No, it's Taysom Hill. I know what he's talking. The backup
Taysom Hill,
quarterback
yeah,
that they use.
yeah. So he could be fun to watch in training camp if he don't make the team. There's
Well, maybe
other
he
teams
should.
that like
He should make the team just based on that alone. Smoking Jim.
Yeah.
We need stuff like that.
4-5, man.
We need to go back. We need to go back to the Mike Mularkey offense. It's a little malarkey, you know. So if Mike Mularkey was here, that kid would make the team easily because Mularkey was good at them trick plays and all that stuff when people, you know. So yeah, guess who Tim Worley's tight end was? Started with Tim Worley for the Steelers. Take a guess, everybody. I know who it is, but go ahead.
Eric Green.
No,
Mike
Mike Mularkey. Yep. Yeah. Yep. So there you go. And Bobby Brister was the starting quarterback in 1989. So there you go. All right, guys. Pitt Panthers, who made the draft. Matt Cavs went to Indianapolis in the 3rd round. Bub Means, he went, I believe, in the 5th round to New Orleans. And MJ Devonshire was second to last pick. He went to the Las Vegas Raiders. All right, guys, Pitt players, your thoughts. Start with you, Smoking Jim.
I tell you what, man, what a freak of nature Bub Means is. And congratulations to the offensive lineman that went in the 3rd round from Pitt.
Yeah, Matt
and,
Cavs. Yep.
And Devonshire, I think, is going to the Raiders. So,
Yeah.
hey, congratulations to the Pitt Panthers, man, continuing their football career.
Guys, Penn State had 8. I repeat, 8 players that made it into the draft. All right, we'll start with. Here's a guy that I thought was going to make it faster than this, and I wanted the Steelers to take him. Is Kalen King. I don't know what happened to him. Maybe Joe can enlighten us on a few things. What happened to Kalen King here?
Well, he ran a 4.62 and a 4.62, and you can't play cornerback in the NFL when you're running 4.6s.
Right.
You know, so they'll likely move him to safety.
Okay.
And he got blown up and abused by Marvin Harrison Jr. He just isn't. he's better. He look. He's again nothing against the guy. I mean, I think he is better suited to be a safety in the National Football League. So someone is gonna make a move there, and he might work out. I mean, it's not the end of the world. You can play 4.62 at corner in the NCAA. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you're getting to the NFL, you got to find a different position, and that's what they're doing for him. So play safety.
All right, my little dog's here. I think he wants to join the show, but I can't reach him from here. So there you go. All right. Next, this Olu Fashanu, he went to the Jets in the 1st round. Chop Robinson, who he was an edge rusher. That's probably why the Steelers didn't take. We don't need it anymore, I don't think. Miami, he went to. Caton Wallace, offensive tackle, round 3, went to New England. Elisa Isaac, here was a guy that sat there for a few. I thought he'd be gone. He went in the 3rd round. And then Theo Johnson, the tight end, round 4. Hunter Norsel, center, Chiefs. And Daquan Hardy, cornerback, Buffalo, got signed as a undrafted free agent. Start with you, Joe, from Penn State.
Yeah, so Ola Fashanu might be the best offensive tackle in the draft. He went through two seasons and didn't give up a sack. The guy could have come out last year and been a top 10 pick and decided to go back to get his degree and came out and was a top 10 pick, right? So like the guy clearly has got his head on straight, knows what he's going to do after he gets done playing, and is going to be a really good player for the Jets. I wouldn't surprise, if one of those tackles go down, Morgan Moses or Tyron Smith, and both of them do go down every single year to injury, he's going to be plug and play, and he's never going to come back out. That guy's that good. Chop Robinson might be a bust. I honestly look at the guy. He's a great combine warrior with all that talent. And Penn State plays exactly 2 games a year. They play Ohio State and Michigan and lose every year.
Yeah,
and and then he had 1 sack last year. As an edge rusher, he had 1 sack. Right? I don't know what they were thinking on that when that has bust all over it. Theo Johnson, I like. I think that he's really athletic, and Penn State does a very good job of getting the guys ready to go to the combine. So they do really well and they test well there. Adisa Isaac, I like. I think Adisa Isaac has a better chance being a better edge rusher than Chop Robinson does. Daquan Hardy is a special teams guy all the way. I mean, he's too small. I mean, the guy's like 5'8". And get a ball in his hands and let him run, punt return, kick return, great, but he's not going to be able to. There's one Darrell Green, right? So like and it's not Daquan Hardy, but Daquan Hardy is electric with the ball in his hands. So if you can make that work and you put him on there and you got a spot on your team for somebody that you want to run back kicks or punts, then he's your guy. And so, I honestly, I think that next year's Penn State class will be much better than this one. But I also think that this year's isn't all that bad. And I'm not saying that Chop Robinson is not going to be a good player in the league, but he didn't show that he was a good enough player to be a first round guy. If someone said, I'm going to take a flyer on him in the second round, with all that speed and stuff like that, I mean, man, that guy is fast. He's super athletic. There was no results with that, and you need results in a first round pick. So I'm not saying he can't, he'll do well.
Right.
He'll be a player in the league. I just don't know if he's a first round player.
All right, Smoking Jim Frazier.
Yeah, I agree 100%. What was just said. I was big high on Theo Johnson.
Yes,
I thought he was the best all-around tight end in coming out of college this year. 6'6", 260. He could run 4.5 40. He could block. He could catch. I thought that there was room for growth at the next level. The Pittsburgh Steelers got one tight end that's a great receiver, but he's not much of a blocker, and got another tight end that's a blocker that's yet to show that he's an NFL receiver. So Theo Johnson would have been a perfect guy because he can do them both. So, Hardy ran a 4.3 40 at the combines, but at 5'8", and only playing at a school near Gateway, I knew he was going to be a walk-on. So,
all right, Bubba, Shane, you guys have anything to add?
I
know Bubba doesn't. I mean, I'm not trying to be rude.
Well, the only thing I have to add is Bubba and me need to get Joe and fire our Magic 8 Ball. Though we asked our Magic 8 Ball questions last week, and it knocked it out of the park. It was pretty accurate. So, Joe, kudos.
Well,
I would be more than happy to be anybody's draft Magic 8 Ball at any time. Just let me know.
Cool. We will do that. Ralph, I just don't have anybody that was actually. I'm a big Penn State fan, but when they can't win the big games, I lose all interest. So when they choke,
James Franklin's kind of like on a hot seat a little bit up there. You got to beat Michigan.
And the only person I wanted from any local school around here was Frazier. I was okay with that. I didn't want, I want other people from other areas in the country because they actually play better colleges, and then Penn State just always chokes lately, and I don't like that. And I can't name 3 Penn Staters now to save my life like I used to. So that's why I'm not good at the college like Joe and Jim and you. And Shane. I'm not.
I'm going to get Emmett Mahan on the radio show, and he talks Penn State. Emmett Mahan. So
I tap out on that one.
Oh yeah. All right, last segment here brought to you in part by sponsorship advertising with RW Media, 412-545-4317. Affordable rates, call today. Hey, Mata Heating and Air Conditioning, spoke to him about a week and a half ago. Guess what? He said the same thing that Original Hometown Pizza said. My business is up. Thank you. So there you are, folks. All right. Next, Jerry Dulac reporting that the Steelers may sign and had a meeting in regards to Cam Sutton, former Steeler cornerback, got charged. I heard, and Joe said it was dropped to a misdemeanor. But we'll see where this goes. Joe, your thoughts. We'll start with you.
Well, it's not bad if it's the right reclamation project, right? Cam Sutton is a really good inside corner slot guy, right? And he was one of the best in the league. Detroit paid him for that. Obviously, made a monster mistake. Got himself into some legal trouble. I think the problem that the Steelers have is he's going to get suspended for 6 or 8 games, right? There's no way around it. He'll be on the commissioner's exam.
I wouldn't even sign him. I mean,
So I think that's a big problem. He's looking to be a reclamation project. The Steelers like him. The Steelers tried to sign him the year before. you know, ultimately he solves a problem for them right now, which is, you know, they've got two outside guys. They got two with JPJ and the trade that brought Dante Jackson here. You've got your two starting corners, and they're both
back at a discount. I'm hearing that story too, so we'll see where that goes. You know.
Yeah, I mean, they just did a slot corner, and Sutton might be that guy. And if the charges weren't as bad, like charges get changed and dropped and crazy stuff. Who knows? You know, I honestly don't know that. I'm not going to purport that I understand what his legal situation is. But you know, misdemeanors are a lot easier to forgive than a felony.
Joe,
yeah. So what's there? Oh, I'm just saying, yeah, his legal problems. I don't.
Right.
Yeah. So, but we'll see what happens there. And you know, for me, I think that if they could survive, you know, a lengthy suspension, they'll have one of the best slot corners in the game back. I don't know. That's a decision they've got. That's a business decision that the Roonies have to make.
Shane.
You know, guys, I really don't have much to add. You know, Joe hit this one out of the park, so you know.
Well, that's fine. Okay. Smoking Jim.
Well, get ready for Cam Sutton. He'll be back. Hey, listen, it's kind of hard, man, when you throw a woman out of a window and he get that drop from a felony to a misdemeanor. Somehow he did it. He was a fugitive. I thought they was gonna make a movie about him. He was running from the law so long. But hey, this is the guy that Coach Tomlin loves. And if you're sitting down with Coach Tomlin and Omar Khan, you're coming up with a story, you know, for the you know, the people's jury when he gets in front. Listen, if he suspended for 8 weeks, he'll be back for the second half of the season, and that's what the Steelers is looking for, that push for the playoffs. They love him. He was known for being smart at Tennessee, and here with the Steelers being able to play a lot of different positions. And I think he's going to come with a price that is very doable under the salary cap. And if Coach Tomlin wants him back, he's a friend of Coach Tomlin. They're almost cousins. And I think you'll see Cam Sutton come back. They just got to get the media story together when he gets in front of the podium.
Bubba.
I can't argue with what Smoking Jim said. Yeah, he played 15 games for Detroit last year. I didn't want him to go when he was leaving Pittsburgh, but he got big money when he went to Detroit. He's going to get his story straight because you can't act that way. You cannot put your hand on females. You cannot do that. So I don't know what they did to get it dropped to a misdemeanor. He probably got a good attorney, and if Tomlin likes him and we can have him, you know, at a good price, you know what? It's about winning championships sometime. And I hate to say this, you know, he'll have to go do some rehab. He'll have to go to counseling, but also too, when he goes to counseling, he can counsel, you know, in a slot corner position after 8 weeks, and he can get us some big plays. I mean, I'm not condoning. I don't condone that in any means, but it is a business. And if they can get him fairly economically sound, because they didn't draft the big corner in the draft, and they're talking to him, you know, Tomlin they love playing for Mike. And if Mike can get him here at a good deal and make him look good in front of the public, you know, by December, he'll be playing.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here tonight. This show is part of the Mata Heating and Air Conditioning Studios. 724-2010-500 Mata Heating and Air Conditioning. Smoking Jim, we'll start with you. The battery on my phone here is about to go. Tell everybody about yourself.
I'll tell you what, man. This is my 37th year producing my NFL draft reports, and it's been a pleasure. That's what I do for my main income. Also do amateur and professional boxing. Just did an amateur card
last
week. I'm starting to do MMA as a ring announcer. That starts in June.
Wow!
And I just try to stay busy, man. I got a great radio show with the booking machine.
That's it. You got it, man. That's it. All right, Smoking Jim. Bubba, tell us a little bit about yourself before we close.
Well, I'm the host of the Steelers Dynasty podcast with myself and my co-host Shane above me here, and I also do the Triple B Experience where I do wrestling and pulp culture. I got 2 channels. The Steelers stuff is the Steelers Dynasty podcast, and now I am the owner and promoter bringing the Allied Powers Wrestling Federation back out from 2010, and we got our first show back after all these years, June 23rd in Indiana, Pennsylvania at the S&T Bank Arena. So I am busy. So Smoking Jim, I know how you feel. Every day is something. So guys,
Yeah,
I
Bubba,
appreciate you.
Bubba, I'll be making up the spot for you to start promoting your
Okay.
show.
Well, I
So,
appreciate it.
you're-
Not, and
you're
I
taking
appreciate
the next
I
spot up.
appreciate you, Alf, letting me come on the show. And Joe and Smoking Jim, anytime you guys want to come on the Dynasty Show to talk Steeler football, you guys are more than welcome with Ralph. I do it every Wednesday night at 9:00. And the more Steeler stuff with knowledgeable Joe and Smoking Jim are knowledgeable on the draft stuff, you guys are unparalleled. And my hat's off to you too. So you guys have a welcome, open invitation anytime.
All right. Thank you, Bubba and Shane.
I am Wendy to Bubba's Peter Pan. So I not that he flies around the room, but and I'm on the Steelers Dynasty at 9:00 on Wednesdays. Please like and subscribe. Also, I am on the Voice of College Football, the West Virginia channel, and a couple times a week. So just look up Voice of College Football and you will find me there. Thank you so much for having me on, Ralph.
You're welcome, Shane. Anytime, Joe.
Well, I was going to accept Bubba's invitation to come on a show until Shane described himself as his Wendy. So that was I have to pass on that one, guys.
I guess we'll
No,
shoot
just
the
kidding,
Magic
guys.
8-ball.
Anytime you want me, I'd be more than happy to come on, talk Steelers.
Thank you.
And that's here at Draft 412, or excuse me, Draft Nation. We cover all 4 sports in their major drafts. So if you're a football fan, hockey fan, baseball fan, or basketball fan, you'll be able to find us at draftnation.com.
All right. Thank you, Joe. I have 7 podcasts on social media. I also have my own radio show on Tuesdays. It's called Sports Corner Radio Show with me and Smoking Jim Frazier. This Tuesday, we're having pretty much an open show. I'm going to have Ray Fittipaldo from the Post-Gazette come on for about 15, 20 minutes, talk about his opinion of the draft and give us some updates of what is happening beyond that. And then Smoking Jim, Ryan Karazunas, my producer, and I, we're going to dissect the Steeler draft. We want to take your phone call, 724-843-1888 or 774-1888. You can find me on Facebook, YouTube. Please subscribe to all my shows. And also I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Tumblr, and I'm also on Twitter as well, Twitter X platform. All right. And also tomorrow morning, 7:35 a.m., I will be on with Mike Romine on Beaver County Radio to talk about the draft. So if you want to listen in or go on the website of Beaver County Radio's website or my website, www.rwmedia.org. If you want to listen at 7:30 in the morning, you're up having your cup of coffee, you can have it with me and Mike Romine tomorrow morning. So, all right, guys, we're going to wrap this up right now. I want to thank you guys for being on the show, Joe Kuglis, Shane, and Bubba, and Smoking Jim Frazier. For all these guys, I am Ralph Williams. You all have, everybody have a great night, and thank you for watching.